Baby, let me take you for a ride. It's crazy that we on the same vibe. I really wanna try to stay on the same side. So can you stay tonight just so we do it right? Yeah.
We're getting right to the point instead of like this whole build up to finally getting to your friend bought a car. So your friend bought a car.
Yeah,
which is amazing. It's an amazing feat with a long backstory on how he even got there.
It's buying a car in and of itself doesn't sound like an amazing feat, but the shit we went through to get to this.
No. I feel like for the listeners that are listening now, and I hope the majority of the people who are listening to our podcast do like cars because they're our friends.
Yeah.
And so
let's be honest.
Yeah, let's be honest here. So like the majority of the clips, the reels, you're gonna find some people that are gonna be they're gonna be here for like the little clippets and snippets of
and we get spelling wrong
topics.
In the title.
Yeah, spelling's wrong in the title, or like sometimes we hit some touchy subjects, which I hope we hit to today. We'll get a little outside of the car podcast, and that'll be at the end. But I feel like it should be good that we start off every podcast with some car-related stuff, and you have been doing much of that in your real life lately.
Yeah, in the past couple
instead
weeks.
of just talking about cars, you've been up to it.
Yeah.
So, and not only that, a road trip for car buying. So, and also to that point before I got tangent again, but the people who are listening know that when you're buying a car, generally speaking, it's not like you find one ad for the car that you're looking for and you're like, I'm going to go buy that car. Like, usually it takes a few cars. If you're smart,
you're shopping around.
You're shopping around. You're spending some time, you go out, you look at a car, and you have the willpower to say no. And that's tough a lot of times.
Especially when you're like looking for a car, not for day-to-day, like utilitarian purpse. But, a project car, or we had a whole discussion that
we'll get back into
that
we'll get back into that.
We'll
I'll get back
that.
into that because I'll stand on business. I'll stand on business.
Toes in, we're standing on business.
But yeah, and so also like for people like you who buy cars, when you go to look at a car, you're like you bring people with you to be like, you got to tell me this car is not good to buy because I'm going to show
get the
up.
blinders on.
Yeah, you show up and like, because if you get yourself out of bed to go look at a car, you're like, yo, I'm buying that fucking car.
Yeah.
And so so kudos to you, because on one side it's like, yeah, it's because you've done your research and like you know exactly what you want. And now
I don't know exactly. No, that's actually, and I'm only going to cut into this here.
Sure.
That is not how I buy a car.
That's crazy because you also talked about on like a separate podcast where you went on a subreddit to find the perfect vacuum for your house. And like, look, we're talking about like just an apartment that like you live in with your friend, and like, you know what? You're like, we have a vacuum. It's not great. It would be nicer to have a nicer vacuum. And you went through like probably about a week. You just
No, it was only a couple days, which is still way more thought than a lot of people put into buying a fucking vacuum. But
brother, a couple days.
It wasn't a couple days of I'm studying nothing but vacuums. It's like, I should buy a vacuum. Let me look into it, and then get bored and do something else.
All right. I see.
And then the next day, I was like, shit, no, I need to buy a vacuum. And then look into it. And the only reason I went that hard is because the only other like options I had were to read the reviews on a website. But like you go on, I don't even remember what website what store it was.
Oh yeah.
But half of the reviews were like from the manufacturer's website.
Yeah.
Like they said that. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I can trust that.
Yeah.
Because if it's from their website, they can very easily be like, oh, delete
rid
all the
of-
1 stars.
Yeah.
So that's like, okay, I'm going to look up forums and shit.
Right.
And forums have basically died. The closest thing we have left is Reddit. So, yeah, I was on a vacuum subreddit looking at what vacuum I should buy because I didn't trust the reviews.
I respect it.
As for cars,
Yeah.
I'm not buying a brand new car.
Right.
I will, and I want to say, like, it's not that I go and buy a car completely blind. I don't. It's that I don't know exactly what car I want when I go to look for one.
Yeah, so it's not like you know nothing. It's like clearly
Like,
if you went out to go buy it,
to use
you're
the Buick
interested.
as an example,
Right.
how that played out was I found a listing for a classic car with no rust and straight bodies that was running and driving for $2,500. So then I hit the guy up, asked if I could come see it. We set a date, and then I had about 3 days to learn everything I could about this car. So by the time I got there, I was an expert on the 1962 Buick LeSabre.
That is actually very true to you.
Yes.
Yeah, because
I didn't even know that car existed before I saw it.
Yeah, because that is, I mean, it's kind of funny, but like the way that like you work really well under pressure, which is kind of strange.
Yeah. No, if I don't have a hard deadline, like the motivation is not there.
yeah, 100%. So like if you don't have like this like thing in your head or this plan or like what I mean, I can't come up with an example, but like how you do work is that like where like when you're set into something, like boom, you're in it. But like if there was like a like,
every time I pick up a new hobby,
yeah, it's like yeah, hey, like next week we're gonna do this and like blah blah. Like it'll be like the night before everything about because like you like the pressure. You just work really well under pressure, and I think it's just like it's a motivational thing.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know if it's like you're motivated, but like you're motivated in things that you like.
I work
or, like,
better
that's
when
in
I have
front of you
outside pressure. If you're going to leave it up to me to do something, you better wait.
yeah. You'll know at the time.
Yeah. And like although when you ask me like, hey, when are you going to be free so we can record the podcast? I'm like, I'm not sure. That isn't because of that. That's because I don't know what other people who I regularly interact with do things.
Yeah,
with.
that wasn't
like,
what I
I
was
don't know if
thinking
Wes
of.
is going to call me Thursday and be like, yo, I need your help. I'm drowning over here or something.
Yeah, no, I know that. Yeah, for sure. And like, for us, like, we talk a lot about. We talk about a lot of the ins and outs of the podcast on the podcast. I feel like, which I like, I don't mind. And like, it's like, so for us, like, we're normal human beings that have like regular jobs.
Speak for yourself
somehow. But we have.
Weren't you just talking about how odd I do things?
Well, yes, but like we're normal human beings who have jobs. Is what I'm getting at. And like we have jobs, and so the difficulties of normal life that everyone understands that like there's only so much time in the day, and so to be able to like force ourselves to hang out and come to a podcast is
it's torturous, man. I would rather be anywhere, right?
Yeah, but I mean to be to have to be here and like doing a podcast every week is like it sounds easy on paper to just go hang out with your friend and just do a podcast, but like normal stuff happens where you're like, yeah, well, we do other stuff. Like we do a lot of other stuff, and
weekends are busy.
Work and
recently for me more than
for
usual.
sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and so like you always have a lot going on. I always have a lot going on. So like it's it definitely is something. It definitely is something that we get to like.
Started this with the like kind of plan like once a month.
Yeah.
Once twice a month.
Yeah. Dude, remember? Oh no, when I first like bought everything.
Oh,
and then I informed you that we were starting a podcast because I bought everything. I was like, dude, we'll start out and we'll do like 2 or 3 a week, and like that's gonna be our pace for all this stuff. And you were like.
No.
Dog, that's insane. I know. I was so optimistic.
You realize.
I was so optimistic. And then remember, like, dude, it took from the point that I bought everything, it took us almost it was over 2 months
to just set everything
to just
up,
get everything,
and to even like do our first failed recording.
Yeah. And then like by the time we got a successful podcast done, it was crazy. And so like even still today, so if there's people out there now who are on podcast number 1 or 2 or 3, I promise you, it doesn't get better.
Yeah, we set a goal of quality. We met that, and every like upgrade we've done to our setup has just been to maintain that level of quality, but make it easier on ourselves.
Yeah.
It's not gotten better.
Yeah. So we've had a plethora of problems even just today. So if you're hearing this today, and as of now, you should be hearing this, thank God, because it's difficult to get all of the things in order to make sure this happens. And to give no one any disillusion, there's no producer. It's me and Adrian. So we're just hanging out here. So we're doing this all by ourselves, which makes it sweeter.
Yeah.
You know, when you get one done and it comes out really good. You know,
I mean, I feel like you benefit more from
makes it
that
sweeter.
that satisfaction since you're the one behind the computer a lot
Yeah,
of the times.
for sure, a little bit. I mean, it definitely rings sweeter to me because only because I've felt the pain. You know what I mean? Like I've fucked up enough, and
Yeah.
and
then when we do lose shit and have to redo it, yeah, I feel the pain for that, but you also feel that,
yeah.
and you have to do all the back end shit.
Yeah,
So.
well, because I've accidentally deleted footage, and so in one of our podcasts, I think it's just you on the whole podcast. I think, or maybe I decided that it was just gonna be blank. There was gonna be no footage. I forget, but I think maybe it was just blank. The
No.
footage.
There was one where halfway through we lost your camera, and for the rest of the podcast, it was just me.
Yeah, and that was a technical difficulty. But the one I'm thinking about, just dealing with the amount of storage that it takes to do one
And
of
the
these
juggling
long
we're
form
doing.
Conversation podcasts.
We probably
Yeah.
should have just spent the money and got the bigger hard drive.
Yeah, probably. But again, that's what I'm saying. This is
we still
the
could get an
trial.
external drive, but we've been making
But
do with these SD
technically,
cards.
yeah. But technically speaking, even with an external hard drive, there's only so many ports on the Mac.
Man,
that
if
we're
only we
working
just could
with.
have splurged the money on a full iMac or something.
Yeah, I know. But here we are, and
Here we are, and we're making it happen.
We're making it happen.
Anyway,
yeah. So anyway,
enough shop talk.
shop talk. But yeah, so you've had a pretty incredible past few weekends of car shopping with your friends and doing your thing. But now this weekend was important because
Oh yeah, so we've got T.R.O.G coming up.
yeah,
Which, for those who aren't aware, it's
Mm-hmm.
an acronym for the Race of Gentlemen. It's just a race on the beach. On the East Coast it's held at Wildwood. On the West Coast, some beach in California.
Yeah.
I don't really care about California.
Yeah, do you mind just
but-
pulling that up because it is the footage of this does do so much because when you say it, it sounds cool, but man, we went through this with Alden, and we went through all of the hell yeah, we went through all this stuff talking about it, but it wasn't until we showed, and I was we had footage of it, and then
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, this isn't vintage footage. This is from 2020.
Yeah, this is a couple years.
But yeah, they race on the beach.
Yeah,
And all these cars are actual old cars. They're not like kit cars or anything. And all the parts on them are actual vintage cars. They've got really strict rules about, what can be on these vehicles and whatnot. They all have to be absolutely 100% period correct. So, which funny enough makes my car from the 60s too new to actually participate.
Right.
But if I'm going down to an event that celebrates old cars, I'm not going to show up in, my work van.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you wanna show up in something cool,
Yeah.
and something kind of close to time period.
Yeah, as close as I can get, because I don't have the money for an actual hot rod.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's what we're going to. It's
Wait, hang on.
2 weeks from
I want
now.
to see him take off. But yeah, look at this. Just racing on the beach, old cars. Yeah, I mean, and like you were talking about, the time period, it has it all kind of stay into exactly how that car was or what options that car had,
or how
and
it would have been customized
right, exactly
in its time.
Yeah, what options that car was available to have in that time. So,
So yeah, you're not going to put an LS motor in any of these.
right, exactly.
You're not even
Yeah.
going to be able to get away with a Chevy 350. That's too new.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So all these cars are time period stayed in, and it seems like each car almost has a different set of rules because of that. So when you get down to like the rules of the cars, it's like, well, it depends on what car you brought. You know, to actually
there's
to
a
be
couple of like
a
weird
part of it.
things where like if you have an overhead valve engine, then that can be from the 50s, but no newer than that. Versus if you have a flathead engine,
Right.
because that's an older design, it's got to be one from the 30s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, the tires have to be like bias ply, original spec. They can't be modern radials.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
But regardless, you know, it'd be cool to take an old car down there, even if it's not old enough to like be there, like, or to be like part of the event. If you're going down there to spectate and all that,
Yeah.
I'd rather show up in a 60s car than a 2000s car.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So, you know, my one buddy has been trying to find a car, and he originally was looking for a Cadillac. He wanted a 60s Caddy, and I can't blame him. Who doesn't want a 60s Caddy?
Right. So,
But,
so what was the car that he ended up buying this weekend?
Yeah, so he couldn't find one of those in a short enough time period that was in good enough shape, because we only have 2 weeks to get this car ready to make a 2.5-hour trip down to Jersey.
Yeah.
So he found a 64 Impala.
Yeah. Which is like quite literally like the next best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like amazing. And even like to find it in his budget is crazy.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Not just any 64 Impala, but a 64 Impala 4-door hardtop.
Yeah.
Not a sedan,
Yeah.
a hardtop.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And I think we.
I mean, if he had found a 2-door hardtop, that'd be even more expensive. But
Oh, yeah.
he wanted a 4-door.
Yeah.
He specifically was looking for a 4-door hardtop.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, which like when I think about like an old Cadillac, I think about that, like a 4-door hardtop,
Yeah.
you know, with like the open windows. So like when you put the windows down, and like we've explained this before, but when you put the windows down on those cars, like you can literally, like, with the windows down, you can touch from the windshield and then take your hand and then go all the way
To the rear
the
windshield.
rear windshield
And not touch a pillar or any obstruction.
it's
It is
just
open.
Yeah, with the windows down, the entire car is just open. So like it's like a car with this like this top over it. It's pretty unique, and I don't know. It's a fun thing. Yeah. But yeah, so we got some pictures here.
We got
so,
a picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he found himself a 64 Impala. It was a little crusty, but
yeah, the one on the right here, white with the red stripe.
Yeah.
Adrian's Buick LeSabre?
LeSabre.
Yeah, Buick LeSabre.
well, yeah, because naturally, if we're gonna go look at an old car, we got to show up in an old car.
Fuck yeah, dude. So, and you guys drove down in this again to go pick this thing up.
Yeah, and this was only like 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that far.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. But your first trip was
Yeah, so this was the backup.
It was a 4-hour. Yeah, it was a 4-hour trip.
Yeah, this
to-
was a quick little, hop, skip, and a jump down the road to go look
Yeah.
at this thing. And, yeah, but before that, 2 weekends ago, he had found a 62 Caddy, 4-door hardtop.
Yeah.
And, it was within his budget, it had some issues, but we were kind of hoping, because me and Drew both have AAA, like the top tier AAA, because you drive old shit boxes, you need AAA.
Yeah, you need some help. You're gonna need some help.
But they've got a range of 200 miles for that free tow.
Right.
So the hope was to get this car within that range and then
Yeah.
have it towed back if we needed to. If the car
Yeah.
survived, then drive it back.
Yeah, which could be 30 to 40 minutes of driving.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, depending where you're going.
Yeah. But yeah. So this Cadillac he found was 4.5 hours away in Baldwinville, New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we got a little group chat together. It was me, Alden, and Drew. The one looking to buy the car. Got a little group chat together to kind of like plan this out, because this is a pretty significant drive.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal
Yeah.
to like kind of like
To
put
try to
all that
limp this
together.
car home.
Yeah.
Like, it takes some planning
Yeah.
on something that we're not even sure is going to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Drew being a smart guy, but like you and Alden also are very, very Yeah, you guys know what you're talking about, you know. So when it comes to those kind of things, like I would also, if I could, grab you and Alden to be like, yo, I'm gonna go buy this crazy car.
I'm gonna go buy this '60s V8 land yacht, and I know nothing about carburetors. You want to give me a hand?
Yeah.
I mean, Drew knows about carburetors a bit. You know,
Yeah, and clearly he knows the car itself, but it helps having like some other friends,
a couple
with
other
you.
eyes, yeah,
a couple other
and
eyes.
I'm sure he also wanted us there to either talk him in or out if it was a bad deal.
Correct. Yeah, and we were just talking about like you are the kind of guy who shows up and is like, talk me out of it.
Yeah, I brought
me out of
Furman
it.
with me. I brought Furman with me to buy my Buick because he's not a muscle guy.
Yeah,
he's not like a classic American car guy.
Yeah,
so he will give it to me straight if there's no reason.
Like a totally different perspective, outside opinion. You need to hear it. Yeah, in real time.
Who does know about cars? Though?
Yeah, right.
He's got the relevant knowledge, but he doesn't have any of the biases that would like put on the blinders that I had.
All right. Yeah.
Luckily, you know, he pulled me to the side and was
Yeah,
just like, I don't see anything wrong with this car.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, but yeah, so we got a little group chat going. We're trying to plan it out. Drew's like, okay, what do you think I'm going to need to buy, you know, to limp this thing home? We're like, you know, oil, transmission fluid, coolant. He bought all that. He even bought like some lead additive if we had to stop and get gas.
Damn.
Because, you know, these cars ran on leaded fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, people who don't know, old cars were supposed to have lead in the fuel. We don't have lead anymore. They still need the lead. So there's a lead substitute you can buy.
Yeah.
That you're supposed to put in with every tank, and a lot of people don't, and they end up destroying valve seats and wiping cams and shit.
Yeah. Which maybe could be what happened to this car that he just bought. Because we're,
well, no,
to go a little further into the
it,
story.
It doesn't seem like it has any compression issues or anything.
Well,
valve seals are different.
Yeah.
It could have been what happened to my car.
Oh, interesting.
Could have been.
Yeah.
And could have been what happened to that Cadillac. Because that had a misfire when we got there.
Yeah, so maybe that Cadillac had the same issue that your car had, plus oil leaks. Yeah, I know you're never gonna know.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert! Yeah, I know. We did this already before, so please. We're trying to backtrack this. We're trying to backtrack this so that it makes sense on the podcast.
But yeah, so we got our little group chat. We're planning everything out. We got the time figured out when we're gonna get to his house and when we're gonna. What time, the 4.5 hour drive, what time we're going to get to the guy's place to look at the car. Yeah. It was at a storage unit in up in New York. So, but we're trying to plan everything out, and then comes the question of like, okay, so whose car are we taking? So Drew, being the smart guy that he is, has a reliable daily.
Yeah,
a brand new 5-speed Toyota Corolla hatchback. There's nothing wrong with this car.
Yeah.
It's efficient, it's comfortable, it's reliable, it's safe.
Yeah, good car.
So we took my Buick.
Yeah, your 62 Buick LeSabre.
Yeah, and honestly, in the planning phase of all this, Drew was a lot more nervous than even I was about my car making.
Yeah.
It was a lot of like...
Which, is your car no one knows your car like you, so...
Yeah, but it was a lot of like... And I also kind of fed into his doubts. I'm like, look, I'd love to take my car. I would love to take my car. But I don't know if, like, cause I'm talking to Alden as well. Because Alden, of course, is like gung-ho. Like, we're taking the land yacht.
Yeah. We got to take the Buick to, like, go buy another, like, that style car.
And, we would have... His car would have been an option as well, but it was... down at the time. He had to rebuild the power steering pump. I think the carburetor was off of his car at the time because he actually lent it to a friend to borrow for another car.
Damn, what a guy.
But
shout out Alden.
he did go with Drew to look at another car. I think it was another like Chrysler New Yorker or something.
Yeah.
And they went there, and then Alden's car didn't start when they went to leave. But they got it started and they got it home. So I'm telling Drew, I'm telling Alden, I'm like, look, I'd love to take my car. I have no like qualms with taking my car.
Yeah.
But it's kind of Drew's call. And if he wants to risk not even getting to the car before running into problems. And Drew's like, is your car even going to make it? And I'm just like, I can give you a firm maybe.
Yeah.
It's never given me reason to think it wouldn't make this trip.
Yeah.
But it is 62 years old.
Yeah.
So, I did a little maintenance on it. I bought some fluid for it myself. I put some oil in it. Well, I just needed to buy some anyway because it does consume a little bit of oil. I bought some
Yeah.
trans fluid because I didn't have any extra, and I don't think it consumes trans fluid, but like it's old.
Yeah,
It might
I
be,
would.
like,
I would
slowly
hope it
leaking.
doesn't consume trans fluid because if it does,
Well, it wouldn't be consuming; it'd be leaking it.
Yeah,
But you know, I have trans fluid, coolant, and oil in my
Yeah.
and brake fluid
for
in my
whatever reason you may need it.
truck. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
got it.
62-year-old car. I have all the fluids,
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah. So it's still up in the air about whose car we're gonna take the day of.
yeah.
You know, going on this trip. So I meet it. I go to Drew's house. Alden meets us there, and at this point, of course, we're taking the Buick. It was never a question.
Yeah, yeah. It was a question.
All the hemming and hawing and
Yeah.
waffling, it was never a question.
yeah. Everyone questioned it, but we all knew the answer.
Yeah,
We're taking the Buick.
yeah, yeah. It was all performative.
yeah. This is just a performance we just put on.
Yeah,
The
it was a formality to like give us the pretense of having any common sense at all.
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
because Drew's dad didn't want us to take my car. I mean, he didn't come out and say it, but Drew was like, yeah, he would prefer if we didn't. And then my dad literally word for word said, you're a fool if you take the Buick.
Yeah.
When I told him
so
about like
then
you know,
the obvious
upcoming
choice
trip.
is taking the Buick.
Yeah, so you know, Drew's an engineer and I got perfect grades in school. Yeah, we got to disappoint our parents somehow.
So you guys hit the road in the Buick, 4 hours,
4.5 hours
into New York,
driving in deep into New York.
deep into New York, and
You know, going up past Syracuse.
nothing but smooth rides.
Smooth sailing. It
Smooth
was
rides.
perfect.
Yeah, I mean, like, and the people are loving it.
Yeah. We got plenty of looks, especially because when you're that far into New York and you see a car with PA tags, it's kind of like, man, you're a little far from home.
Right. Yeah. Anytime you see that in like any car, like to me, I'm like, wow, look at this. This guy's traveling. You know,
Yeah,
this guy's
and we're in a 62 Buick doing 70 down the interstate.
yeah, loaded up with the boys.
Yeah, loaded with the boys.
Loaded with the boys. Love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw people taking pictures. I saw people taking videos.
Yeah.
We had one guy go around us, get in front of us, slow down, and then wave us ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they just wanted to see it drive by.
Yeah.
Probably recording. I don't know.
Yeah. Dude, any more of these trips, man, we're gonna like start like a Spotify playlist. Get people to join in because dude, you are a music guy, and people may not know this if they listen to the podcast, but like you are a music guy.
I am polyamorous.
Yeah.
I listen to everything.
Yeah, yeah, and emphasis on the jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can only imagine what the whole vibe was.
Oh, whoever was driving had control of the music.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the vibes good.
The vibes were
The vibes were
immaculate.
immaculate.
And you know, we stopped for gas, and I tracked the mileage and fuel consumption, and hey, I got 13 miles per gallon,
Yeah, which is
a new record.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So you were getting like 6 in the city
Yeah.
at,
So
at the beginning of its life, and
well,
like
no,
you know
at
we'll
the very beginning, I was getting about 10 or 11 mixed driving.
yeah
Mostly,
yeah.
mostly in town, a little
Yeah.
bit of highway, about
Yeah.
10 or 11.
Yeah.
And that was with that old Rochester 2-barrel that the car came with.
Mhm.
When I bought the car, the guy also gave me an Edelbrock 750 4-barrel carburetor. Probably too much carburetor for the car.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It can handle it.
Yeah.
Except, you know, when I put that on, I dropped down to 6 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
Possibly worse than 6, actually, because
Ooh.
I had, you know, my speedometer was reading like 15 miles an hour high at like 40, 50 miles an hour,
Yeah.
which means that the odometer is counting up faster.
Oh.
So it's reading more distance than I actually traveled for the amount of fuel I used.
Yeah.
So maybe like 5 miles per gallon.
Wow. Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess but you can use
But
if you use it like a GPS and you drove that
Well, if I
many
tracked
miles,
my mileage that way, it would tell
Yeah.
me. But I never did that. I was using the odometer at the time because at the time my speedometer worked. Broken now. I know it's wrong. I've got half the parts I need to fix it.
Yeah.
But I have a GPS speedometer, so I've really been dragging my feet.
Yeah.
But on the highway, I did have a couple trips that I took, like down the turnpike, whatever, and I could track the mileage then, and then I was getting like 10 on the highway. But then I rebuilt the heads. You
Yeah.
know, took them all off, put them, had the heads rebuilt, had bent intake valve replaced, had hardened valve seats put in, so I don't need the lead additive anymore. And after the rebuild and tuning the carburetor a bit more, I was getting 9 miles per gallon in town. So, from 6 to 9. And now on long highway stints, if I'm doing 70 miles an hour, I'm getting like 13 miles per gallon. If we were doing like 60, I probably would have gotten like 15, 16, which now we're getting into the era of the territory of like that almost acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah. And on top of this, we've already covered that that car will never produce nearly as much as it takes to make one Prius. So we're fine. We're fine.
I'm doing my part.
Yeah.
I'm saving the environment.
I'm doing my part. Yeah. Yeah, so then you guys get there.
Oh, yeah. So we got there, and we're looking at the Cadillac, and, like, it's got good bones. It's not rotted. Any bit of rot had already, like, been patched. It's real solid, but it is pissing oil. It's got, like, a steady stream of oil coming out of it.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, like, for any car, like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's
like,
bad.
Like, if
like,
it's,
you remember my Beetle,
if it's
right?
Right, yeah.
And that had a bad leak.
Yeah.
That was not like a constant stream of oil.
Yeah, if it's enough to where you can, like, catch it in a pan, like, brother, that's bad.
And for a 4.5 hour drive.
Yeah,
and it also had a misfire, and we drove it around the parking lot, and I noticed it kind of flared a little bit when shifting from first to second.
Yeah.
So it's just that long of a drive, and we had just made the drive in my car.
Yeah.
So, like, we're fresh off of, like, this is what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
Do we want to add pulling over every 30 minutes to top up the oil to this, on top of, the thing didn't want to idle well. You had to, like, keep it alive a little bit until it warmed up, and then even then with the misfire, it was kind of...
Yeah. And we should add, again, that you're an optimistic guy, and, like, when it comes to buying cars, you're generally, like, the person to be like, fuck yeah,
we're going to make it work.
Yeah. And so for you to have this perspective, it's like, okay, if Adrian says it's bad, dude. Like, maybe we think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one was a solid no.
Yeah, it was worth the price.
Yeah,
it was
100%.
It was the logistics weren't going to work out.
Yeah, a good car,
and we were willing to,
like, the work that you guys weren't ready to put in it right now, and because this is a T.R.O.G car, this is a car that he's looking forward to
take on a road
trip to T.R.O.G. Yeah, it's a tough sell.
The timing didn't work out. Like, if he had bought that at the beginning of the year and had, like, all year to build it, and it was closer, so he could just get the damn thing home.
Yeah,
without spending $1,000 on towing the damn thing, it would have been different.
Yeah,
like I said, the car was every bit worth what the guy was asking. It just logistically we couldn't make it work.
Right.
And we had planned on doing, like, a roadkill style, like, hell or high water, we're going,
like a
but
patch build.
But being completely realistic, like, it wasn't going to work. And we were there on a Sunday, so it's not like we could. Sunday with 9 hours of driving in ideal conditions.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm glad you guys did this on a Saturday this time.
Yeah.
And which was so funny is that, like, this time was only 30 minutes, and you guys decided to do it on a Saturday. Like, bro, on a Sunday.
I mean,
I'm gonna cook up, like, 8 hours worth of driving on a Sunday. No, sir, not happening. Not happening.
I don't know, if that was just, like, a scheduling thing on Drew's end or a scheduling thing on, the guy's end,
person's end,
the seller's end. Yeah. So, yeah, we couldn't make that work, so we drove back and.
Yeah, because, like, a Sunday decision like that will put a bad taste in your mouth. Where you're like. On a Saturday, maybe you'd have been like, you know what?
I got time.
I got fucking time. Like, I might make this work.
If I get home at 1 a.m, so be it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna work the next day. It's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, dude, you're calling around, like, Pet Boys and automotive places and just being like,
like, we were
like,
trying to
you
plan
guys
everything
got,
out. Like, it looked like that big oil leak because it had a rear main leak. We knew about that.
Yeah, which is fine.
But the big leak was it looked like a valve cover leak. We couldn't 100% verify that.
Yeah.
And, like, we were like, oh, we could probably, like, go find a sheet of cork from, like, an auto parts store.
Yeah, 100%.
And make our own gasket.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were willing to get that far into it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, do you really want to drop, like, thousands of dollars on this car and then go get this cork gasket, and then what if that's not the leak and it's something worse?
Yeah, or still, like you said, it still had the misfire.
And it still had the misfire.
Yeah, there were still
And
so
misfires
many...
can be simple.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I thought the misfire on my car was going to be simple.
Yeah.
I had to rebuild the heads.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like now you're really in the hole. And again, not that it's not worth the money, but like maybe it's not worth the trouble. You know?
Especially
like,
if
it's
you
all about
wanted
what
it
you
for
want.
to get it ready for T.R.O.G. Like at that
Yeah.
point, we would have had 4 weeks, which is a decent amount of time, unless you have a full-time job.
Exactly. Kind of pedaling back into how we started this, before, or maybe the first time we started this. I don't know. We've started this podcast so many times. I don't know what got recorded, but but yeah, by the way, we're doing this podcast as like normal human beings of full-time jobs and are busy literally all day throughout the week. And we don't have time to just like not work and just dedicate 8 hours, because everybody knows that like, you only get so many hours in the day, So like to play around with that while you're at work, and then do more after work, and there is also an importance to like outside of work, those few hours that you get that like fly by, It's an important thing to like hold on to those, And if you want to use those to like wrench on cars, or you want to use those to relax or spend that with someone else, then that's what you want to do, or have a nice meal. That's what you want to do. But like the problem is that like
We have a deadline.
you got a deadline. Yeah, dude. And like you have to, now it's like you have to use those all that time outside of work to just doing that. And then what's even worse than that is that like no matter what you tell your boss or tell yourself, is that like while you're at work, there's one thing that you're thinking about, dude.
Yeah, you're on Google looking up parts for a Cadillac 429.
Yeah, or you're up all night looking at parts because you're at work all day and you're busy and you didn't get any sleep because you close your eyes and you go, how much is that fucking oil pump?
No, I've literally done exactly that.
Yeah.
Like,
And,
I'm
you
looking at
start
the clock,
thinking
it's 3 in
about
the
shit.
morning, and I'm like still like thinking about like, if I just did this and this and this to my Fiera, I could get this thing on the road in like 2 days.
Yeah. and then and also like you're kind of like protected by the night of being like, well, before I go to bed, let me just look up this. And then they go, oh, well, just so I know, because I have the time, because in the morning I won't have the time, I'll forget. I'll do it now. I'll look it up. Let me look this up. I look that up. And then it doesn't go right. And you're like, oh, that won't work. And then they're like, well, all right, so let's go see if there's forums. Let's go see the forums.
And then
you go through
3:30 in the morning,
and boom, 3:30 in the morning, and you're like, you still don't have an answer.
and you're not tired.
Yeah, and you're not tired
wired.
at all. Yeah, and borderline pissed off.
Yeah.
because you didn't find your answer, and you also have not fallen asleep yet.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Cadillac didn't work out. We
Yeah.
drove back. And Drew's a little like, yeah, sorry I wasted your time. And I'm like, bro,
Dude,
this was great.
We had the best time ever.
I'm like-
yeah.
I've now
Bro
my
time's the
confidence.
best.
Now my confidence in my car is through the fucking roof.
Yeah,
like
dude.
this is I can go anywhere in this car. now.
Yeah.
And it was just chill.
Yeah.
We were just hanging out,
Yeah.
talking, laughing,
Music.
singing poorly.
Yeah.
The music, and that did kind of lead me to a revelation.
Yeah.
And then I think you know where I'm going with this. There were several factors, but one of the factors are like why car culture in America has died.
Yeah.
Essentially, obviously there's still people who are into cars. You and me and all of our friends, pretty much.
Of course.
But like, you look back at the '60s and it was prolific. It was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were a guy, it was almost like expected of you to be into cars to some extent.
Yeah.
And I think a big
Like,
part
even
of that,
even if you had a sedan, you liked the sedan.
Mhm.
You were enthusiastic about the sedan.
and the only reason you didn't get the V8 was because you couldn't afford it.
right, yeah, right, yeah, and then whether the options, blah blah blah, but yeah, cars were a big thing, and they still are a little bit today, but they're not to the extent.
It's
of
nothing like it was.
You're right, yeah.
But I think a big part of that was
I'm saying that there's like an 8% of the population.
yeah.
But yeah.
But I think the big part of that I've really came to realize in on this trip, because this is the first like big trip with multiple people in the car that I've taken with this car was the social aspect of it. The cars that are built like that, wide open, low bench seats that only come up to like here, to your shoulders practically, even lower, and just a flat bench, no restrictions, no seat belts.
No headrests.
No headrests, but they give you this degree of like freedom of movement that makes it incredibly conducive to just being social while driving.
Yeah. Yeah, because, and we talked about it like normal cars today. Like if you had taken his Corolla,
the Corolla, your Uber.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'll use the Uber example, which is a great example of that for anyone who doesn't like quite understand
like
or
what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, or who hasn't ridden in a car like yours that's older, that has 2 bench seats basically in the car,
2 couches,
2 couches, basically.
Literally couches.
Yeah, literally. That like so I've ridden in Ubers that have had like a 3rd row seat, and we're packed full of the boys, and we're all hanging out, and then whether it's especially after the bar, after you're all liquored up, we're all having a bunch of fun, and there's a bunch of nonsense going on in the back. If you're riding in the passenger seat, God forbid you drew the short straw, which I definitely have. It's like you're like everybody's having fun in the back, and you're like, oh yeah, that was fun. What happened? He did what? What did he say? It's like you can hear them.
Yeah, turning around to like look at it's not easy.
Yeah, and like there's such a disconnection.
Yeah, because the seats are higher.
Cars.
They're closer together.
Yeah.
So there's damn near a wall.
Yeah.
Between the front and the back.
Yeah.
And even like if you are in the way back and you can see everyone the people in the row in front of you, it's the same thing. They still have the tall back chairs.
Yeah.
They're still mushed together. In fact, they're usually a bench in the middle row.
Yeah.
And it's more of a wall.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
the
in
seats
my
are
car,
so much higher.
Yeah. And in my car, you've got these low back couches.
Yeah.
The pillars are thin on the windows. The windows are huge. It's bright. It's airy. It's open. Like literally, the entire body line of the car is level with the the windows,
the windowsill
and the seats.
Yeah.
So like the entire top half of the car is open. It's wide open.
Yeah. So it's a perspective of like this.
Yeah.
It's
You're
like,
sitting here chilling on the couch. You look over, and
like,
because
the boys.
it's a couch, it's practically a couch. You can just twist sideways like this, and there's no seatbelt. So you're sitting there in the front row like this, talking to the guy in the back. The guy in the back's in the center, and it's not this oddly shaped, uncomfortable hump. It's the same cushion that goes across the entire bench. He's sitting in the middle, and he's leaned forward on the back of the seat, and it's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's right there at that height.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and so like if you're, and I'm sure this rings like true to like many people who have been in Ubers and like have pulled the short straw of being in the front seat of the Uber and like had to deal with talking to the Uber driver, God forbid. But like there is such a disconnect of like just being in the front seat, and so like that's the biggest thing because in your for your car because you don't have the 3rd row, so like that makes it more normal. But like so if you're like just being in the front seat just gives you a crazy disconnect from the people in the back seat.
Or if, you know, like in my
like,
car, there's 2 people in the front and 1 person in the back. If you're in the back seat, now you're disconnected from everyone.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Except in my car, you're not.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just, it doesn't sound nearly as impressive when you're just talking about it. You have to experience it.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably a lot of people who are like, oh, you know, when I'm riding with my friends, we don't have that issue. It's like, no, you don't get it.
Yeah.
You haven't been in an old car.
Yeah,
like
you
this.
haven't been able to experience like how good that feels to just like kind of, you feel like you're in the same room as those people. But like but that's why I think like people who have been in an Uber with all their friends and they pull the short straw of being in the passenger seat, they're so disconnected. It is the worst. And, you know, if you're in the way back, you know, if you are so lucky to have friends that like you guys all shared an Uber and, you know, you get to be in the back, and being in the way back is the best. And it has that same feeling. But like you said, even then you have to like kind of turn past those front seats. If it's not a bench, you have to like turn past those front seats and look past these headrests. You know, so like all these safety things have made it way less fun.
Yeah. But like, you know, these cars, you went to black.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but these older cars, they're just perfect for socializing while you're going down the road. And I feel like that's a big reason, or that contributed at least to like why cruising was a go-to activity for fun. Like
Yeah.
you and a bunch of friends would pile into a car
Right.
and just drive around, see the sights, go somewhere cool. All the while, like the trip isn't a hindrance at all.
Yeah.
You're just in a mobile living room, in
Yeah.
a lounge room, just hanging out,
Yeah.
getting to your destination.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was like just the fact of being together in a car, driving around, going to meet up with friends at a certain little spot, and like that.
And you can do that with a modern car. It just doesn't feel the same. And again, like it's something that's really hard to get across in words. It's something you have to experience.
It is, but I hope the Uber example is working because
well,
like
I mean, if you don't know any better, you're like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, it was a
That's
little,
true.
but it wasn't that bad. It's like you don't realize how bad it is compared to how good it was.
Dude, the front seat's bad in an Uber. I hope people understand like how bad an Uber front seat is. It's fucking terrible. So, yeah. So, but I would say that that rings true, and I think that's because of all of those things that we're just talking about. Is why car culture has died off. Is because like it's not fun to ride in the back seat anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not fun to just like be riding in a car. You know, and the death of detail, you know, the death of nuance and like how fun cars can be, you know, and the detail and the attention to detail of making cars like good to ride in, not to just like transport a human being from one spot to another to sit in one spot and just like sit there and do their thing. It's like no, like make this like an experience.
Make this a social space.
Yeah, a social space. Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's lost, and that's why. And there's got to be a lot of factors, but yeah, I think that's why, like, you know, like these like little ice cream shops and like different things, like you don't really see people like just driving. You know, you see people, you know, like young people are just
Well, like I said
driving
before,
fast.
the trip
That's
wasn't
it.
the trip wasn't a hindrance before. Now the trip is just an inconvenience to get to your destination.
Right. Yeah, even that exactly. I see your point where you're saying that like yeah, people do still drive around together, but it's like it's kind of the worst part of the day.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, yeah, we're all gonna pile into my friend's got a Jeep. Let's all pile in. We'll drive there. It's not a great trip, you know.
Yeah, and
then
it's
you
not
get
even
there.
bad. It's just forgettable.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
then
not
you
the
get
part.
there.
It's not the
and
part
then
where the
you're-
memories are made.
Right. Damn, I know.
Meanwhile, my car, it's an occasion.
Yeah, we got to bring cruising back, and like we talked about this before, but
Make
like we got to
cruising
bring
great again.
Yeah, I'm down with that, dude, for sure. Like, so just like being able to like make trips around like the same little block, and we talked about like doing this in when you guys have
In Phoenixville.
in Phoenixville, but like especially a kind of car like yours. Where like you're just like making trips and like people are dying to just hop in, and so like you just do a little trip, you know, and like people like stop, they hop out at like the ice cream shop or whatever the destination is, like, and then like more people hop in, and they want to like they want to experience your car, and they just keep driving.
Yeah, I mean,
you
that's-
know, and like it's fun.
And that's kind of what we have done in Phoenixville, you know, with
but like low key, I feel like, you know, and it doesn't need to be an event. But I'm just saying.
well,
that,
yeah,
like,
it wasn't an event. It was we were bored. We were sitting there, and we all have 60s cars. Let's go drive around Phoenixville.
I mean, how many people? How many people do you think?
let's see. There was the Galaxy, and there was the LeSabre. We had the
Like less than
the
10?
Chrysler. We had the Chrysler as well, but we only took 2 cars because we specifically wanted to pile into cars. We didn't want to have like 2 people, 1 person in a car. We wanted
No,
like
that's
4
and that's
people in a
fine.
car.
Yeah. That's
But it
what I'm-
was 4 in. I think it was 4. It was like 8 people. 8 people in 2 cars.
Yeah, but that's in 2 cars. Like, you know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like when you and I were younger and we had just gotten licenses, like that's when the Newark in Main Street, Delaware was like kind of dying. So
Yeah.
like where like people were like used to like just like, you know, 5 to 10 years before, you know, like that whole like muscle car era was kind of dying for sure. But like there was a big deal to just like cruise down Main Street every Friday. It was Friday nights.
Yeah.
As that people
Main
would
Street
get
would
off
be
work.
packed.
Yeah, they would get off work immediately and go cruise Main Street, and just they would just go and go all night long. And like that was the thing. And then like something happened. I don't know what it is. And I mean, it must have been a little bit of like the crackdown on like police stuff, maybe. But like, yeah, I don't know because like
It just kind of fell off.
Yeah, it did. But I appreciated the car culture of that, where like it was literally just a parade of your car. It wasn't about. Some of it was about how fast.
There was definitely some street racing.
There was definitely a little bit, but no, the street racing didn't happen like on.
It wasn't on Main Street.
Yeah.
God, you couldn't go more than 5 miles an hour on Main Street.
Of
most
course.
times.
Yeah, but like you would get out there on Main Street, you would cruise up against somebody else, and you'd be like, "Dude, is it fast?" And then you'd be like, "Faster than yours," and then you were like, "Let's go." And then you go hit
you end up on like 896 or something.
273.
Yeah.
And fucking getting a good 60 roll, but allegedly. But
Well, I mean, I never did it.
Yeah,
I never had a fast car.
but I mean that's what people did.
Yeah.
But I mean, aside from that, and like I'd rather it not be that. Obviously, we're not condoning street racing, but I just want that parade. I want that reason to get in my car and go and like just to be on the road. Because like it's one thing to just if you took your car right now, you left here and you just like it's Sunday night, go cruise down Phoenixville. You're the only cool car there, and like that's fine and that's cool and like
That makes me feel more special.
It makes me feel less special. Because, like, to me, I'm just the only one there and no one cares and it's, like, not a big deal. But if you're out there and, like, there's every kind of car and there's all of these cars from, like, different areas, like, it just decided to show up and just Friday nights we just cruised.
I think that's why our car show was so successful, though, because Phoenixville has had nothing in the car scene for so long.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, what if you, like, told all those people, like, hey, like... No street racing, no burnouts, no fuckery.
Well, there are ways to there was that cruise in Kirkwood thing.
Right.
Like, there's ways to organize that.
And brother, trust me, that gets fucked up. And maybe that's why it dies.
Yeah.
But maybe it's a silent announcement. Like maybe we're sounding the horns for all the people who are listening to this exactly. And like maybe it's not even orchestrated, but just get out and drive those fucking cars on Fridays, and like don't stop. Like I would be fine with like being on Friday, where like that was just the thing I did. It was like every Friday,
Just go drive through Downingtown or something.
Yeah, go drive. That was the thing. Let's bring it back. Let's do that. Do it in your hometown. If you're listening to this, go get your cool car, put it back together. If it's already together, good. Get the keys. Go drive it. Go do something cool.
Mm-hmm.
There should be more of that driving. Because like honestly, like now, like when I drive my S14 like through like Downingtown or anywhere else, that's like kind of cool. I'm driving around. I'm like, there's cool cars here, but like. There's like this, that. I'm the coolest guy here. Like I'm the only guy here who like I feel like at the time
not driving regular
who's not
traffic.
driving a regular car. Yeah, like I'm driving this weird thing.
Yeah, funny enough, I see a decent amount of like cool shit in my area.
Yeah,
I mean it's all like classic cars because Westchester's money and old people have money.
Exactly. Yeah.
But they're out there driving them, especially on nice weekends. I'll see plenty driving around.
But I feel like they don't have the same vibe of like they don't have like a route. Like we need to just like develop a route where they all drive.
Actually,
and,
on my
like,
way
it
here,
can just become a thing.
On my way here, I stopped at Wawa, like right up the street from my apartment, and in that parking lot, there's a like metallic teal blue like old Pontiac, like 65, 66. It was kind of far away. I couldn't really see it, but it was just sitting there in the parking lot.
You know what?
I was like, damn, what are you doing
Maybe
out
that's
here?
what this needs to be. Maybe this needs to be like, I love the PSA. Give it to the people, and hopefully this inspires someone to get out of their house and go drive. But like, maybe it is just like the car club. Maybe the car club needs like once a month. They just have to be like, look, no one misses this unless it's crazy. Like, but like, please, like the car club has got the car club's got an event. And it's like an undisclosed event, like inside the car club. The car club says like, we're cruising Friday night. Do you guys do that? If you guys don't, that will be sick.
If we don't,
No, like if you guys don't already do that, I think that'll be a sick idea. Is what I'm saying.
What's this? Son of a bitch.
What's happening?
What's this say right here in the topics for our Discord?
Hashtag cruising.
Yeah, we do that shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll organize shit like that and
Yeah.
just go drive around.
Okay.
We drive our cars.
Yeah, you guys do. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I just, you know.
Don't you?
We're talking.
drive
I
our
mean,
cars.
but you and I are talking about it as if this is like this like old like mythical thing.
No, look.
But you're not telling me that it's like a
our car
that people
club.
still do
our
it.
car club. Yeah, if you've seen Alden's podcast episode, it's for cars that are 99 and older. A lot of the cars are significantly older than that.
Yeah.
We drive them as much as we can,
Yeah.
but that's just us. That's just us. When
But
I say
how many people? You think in the club?
like 15 around there, 15.
Yeah. See,
17.
that's a good spread. If you can get 15 cars like in a loop in Phoenixville, like bro, that's gonna draw attention.
like,
and like
semi-regularly we'll get most of the people. Like we'll never get like everyone out at one time. Just scheduling and all that shit's hard.
dude,
But-
I'm pissed that no one has time on a Friday.
But
I hate
the point that I'm making
Yeah.
when I say like car culture is like a shell of what it used to be in the 60s is like there's us, we're doing our thing. It shouldn't be just us.
You're right. But like when as I'm saying, like sounding the alarms, getting people out, trying to make dude, Kirkwood cruises turn into like people doing burnouts and getting drunk and doing fucked up shit on the road. It's kind of hard to do like a call to action when like you know that like 90% are going to show up and do the right thing and the other 10% are going to fuck it up for the rest of the people. You know? And like that's hard. So obviously, doing things in the morning, doing a morning cruise gets rid of a lot of the people.
Yeah,
that,
cars and coffee.
Yeah,
is my go-to.
It gets rid of the
I don't go to car
drunks.
meets anymore. I go
Yeah.
to cars and coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, those kind of things certainly help. You know, but regardless, you know, I like the idea of like just Friday night silent. You know, we're not posting anything. Everybody just knows that like on Friday we're all gonna like do a cruise
Well, I mean,
for like an
that's
hour.
what the 95 meets were.
No, the 95 car meets were meeting up at like the middle of the night, and then street races happened. you know?
No, it was silent. No one said anything about it. They just knew.
Yeah, that is kind of true. They did just know, but it was like street racing and like
Different scene.
Yeah, it was a different scene.
Entirely
Exactly.
different scene.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like when you have like you have the beautiful thing of a car club, where like you've have this thing where you've vetted everyone that's in it, you know, and like clearly they're in the same culture and like the presence that you want to, you know, provide with your car club. Then you guys are all on the same page, which is why it's like cool. We'll all come out. You know, do our thing.
Yeah, see, we
spend time together.
We do that. It's just
Yeah.
it's not as organized as you're making it out to be.
Oh, okay.
So like, you know, we have one of the little chat rooms is like meeting plans. And that's just
Yeah.
like, hey, is anyone going to be out today? Blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
you know, maybe 4 or 5 people will go meet up at a
Yeah.
time, just because you know that we all have jobs.
Right.
You know, we all have school jobs, whatever. So it's whoever can get out.
Yeah. No,
So,
I get it.
Yeah, and they'll usually just like meet at our clubhouse for a while.
Yeah.
But I can almost guarantee they don't just sit there. They're out driving around and then come back. Because, like, there's a Wawa up the street. And it's like, oh, you want to go to Wawa? And then we'll cruise out there and, like, maybe we end up going into Phoenixville.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more organic, I
Yeah.
want to say. It's never, like, all 15, 16, however many. I don't even know how many people were in the club. I've never actually, like, taken account.
Mhm.
But, like, it's never all of us all at once going out.
Yeah.
I mean, we have once a month we'll have a club meeting just to, like,
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
discuss
And
things.
then once a month, we cruise.
I mean, it doesn't. It's not a guarantee.
That would
to
be
happen.
sick.
It's not a guarantee to happen, but it often does.
Yeah. But, like, why not? I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It often does.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you
yeah,
get
yeah.
car people together, a bunch of cool cars.
I
it's
know,
like,
I know.
Let's go drive.
I know. But when you and I
It's
are
just not
talking about
official,
it, yeah,
you know?
I know. But like that's what I want to do. That's what I'm thinking about, and like that's what I want to do. I'll do it by myself. But
Yeah, I can cruise around with you, but it's gonna be a weird pairing.
yeah, dude, I don't care. It's not about like what the car pairing is. It's not about like what cars are out there.
No,
It's just
I'm not
about
saying
like cool
it
cars.
should be discouraged. I'm just saying it's gonna be like people are gonna be like, what the fuck? Okay.
What's happening? Yeah, it's gonna be sick.
I mean that happens actually with our car club. It's like I said, we got a
yeah,
spread.
you guys. Yeah,
You'll see an '88 Mustang or whatever, an MR2,
yeah,
a land yacht of some sort, a 300ZX,
yeah.
a Saab, like
Yeah, and soon you're gonna have
and then
your,
a couple motorcycles.
Yeah, you're gonna have your Fiero back on the road.
Yeah,
like you're gonna
I
have
need to
that
do
to
that.
cruise around in.
Yeah.
Dude, and that Fiero is dangerously close to hitting the road. Let's go.
Yeah, I was supposed to work on it last night.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
I was supposed to work on it last night,
Yeah.
but things got pushed back because hey,
Yeah.
Drew got a car.
Yeah, and also like, dude, like the other thing is like that the problems stacked up on that car. So like now it's like,
Well, are you talking
now
about
it's a
the
project
Fiero?
car.
That was a whole.
So that's another
conversation.
discussion.
But no, it's funny you say the problem stacked up on that car because the biggest reason that the Fiero didn't get touched at all yesterday was because problems were stacking up on the Buick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, after we got Drew's car,
Mm-hmm.
well, first of all, that was also a bit of a process because, much like the Cadillac, the car had issues. But unlike the Cadillac, it was close, and mechanically speaking, I think the car was much closer to being just drivable. So good.
Yeah.
So, it pulls under braking, pulls to the right under braking. It's the carburetor needs a rebuild. It stumbles when you give it gas, but then gets going, and it's fine once it's caught up. Yeah, the accelerator pump isn't pumping enough fuel on that, throttle open.
Right.
Little things.
Yeah.
But mechanically speaking, like it doesn't misfire. It idles great. It burns a little bit of oil, but it's not. It doesn't have any like major red flags that it won't be able to drive.
Yeah.
On this trip.
And so just 120%, just to bring everybody back. We tanged. Our whole podcast just tanged.
Yeah, we went way.
We
into
went
left
way
field.
off. So just so if you're catching up or if you're stopped listening, we're back.
Yeah, back to the car Drew actually purchased.
Now,
Just
how we started this
yesterday.
podcast, Drew has been trying to buy a car. It's been a crazy feat. Multiple weekends, figuring this stuff out, highs and lows, long drives, short drives, big drives. Drew's got a car, and it's a 64 Impala.
It's
just
the Impala.
Yeah, literally, the 64 Impala is like the Impala,
Yeah.
And so, solid car altogether,
Solid
it's
frame
it's
and drivetrain.
It's a solid.
The body's a little porous,
Look,
but
64.
yeah.
Come on. It's a 64 Impala, solid car.
But yeah, for his budget,
So-
it's definitely worth its price.
Yeah, 100%.
But he it took a little. I don't want to say it took some convincing. It took some thought. I'll put it that way.
Right.
Into
Yeah.
actually making that purchase because it costs almost as much as that Cadillac. Actually, I think
Yeah.
it was about the same price as that
Yeah.
Cadillac.
And
It ended up being.
it's not really what he wanted.
It's
Yeah.
not the
And
car he
it's-
actually wanted.
Yeah. And it's not perfect,
No.
And so it's going to need some
But
work.
its problems are less of a hindrance to at least getting to T.R.O.G.
Yeah.
Now, we did talk a lot. Like, we looked at the car. He wanted to think it over. We went and got breakfast, talked it over more, and then he made a decision.
Yeah.
You never really want to
Dude,
rush into this kind of shit.
and
so.
with help with friends, dude, he's going to fall in love with his car. I know it.
Oh, he already did.
Yeah, okay.
No, we're fine. We're past.
Yeah,
we're past
okay,
the hang-ups.
Yeah, okay, good.
But
Because nothing's worse than that, than like having that feeling where you kind of go like, you're like,
you bought the car and you're like, should I have bought this?
yeah, that's
He did. It was funny. He had a bit of a moment of realization. He bought the car. We left the car there. Went to a notary to transfer the
Yeah.
title, and on the way back, he's just sitting like, I bought that fucking car. And
like, oh fuck.
because I, as you talked about, I'm the kind of guy who's like, we're gonna fucking buy this thing.
Yeah.
So what that does is I buy the car and then I drive it home, and now I don't have the bandwidth to even think about the mistake I'm making
No.
because I am trying to pilot this hunk of shit down
Yeah.
the highway to get it home.
Yeah. Also,
All of my brain power is focused to not dying.
Yeah.
But Drew's sitting in my car while I'm just driving back the thing. He's like, "Oh, I just fucking bought it." He's got nothing but his thoughts.
Oh, that's tough.
But yeah. While we're sitting there at breakfast,
Yeah.
and he's like hemming and hawing, like, "Oh,
Right.
do I want to get this thing? Do I want to spend the money on this?" Yeah, I'm like, I told him, I'm like, for the condition the car's in and how much it's gonna cost you. Personally, I wouldn't. But I'm like,
He's a piece of shit.
no.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
But
I know,
that's
I'm just kidding.
because I don't think I think Impalas are overvalued.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But if you just look at the market, yeah, the car's worth the asking price. It was worth what he paid for it.
Mhm.
Not even a question.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, taking
Yeah,
my
to that
personal
point, I fucking paid quadruple what I should pay for my car.
Yeah.
But like because of the market value, it was like smart, weirdly. But yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of like, personally, I wouldn't buy it because
Yeah.
I know I can find a close enough car for way cheaper.
Right.
But I'm also way less picky.
Yeah.
Like we said, I don't go shopping for a car knowing what I want.
Yeah.
I look at cars and go, "Oh, that's neat," and then go for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So-
You can look at something and go like, oh, it has this, and it has that, and it has that, and it has that, and like those are all the things that the thing that I really wanted that was like
You're
double the price.
No, you're overcomplicating it. I go, "Oh, that's cool," and that's it.
I was like, yeah, okay, that's cool, and it also like
Yeah. The
is-
only
is cheap.
stipulations I have when it comes to like looking at cars, what transmission is in it. I have very clear delineations between what cars are allowed to be automatic and what cars have to be manual.
Interesting.
Like I would never buy another automatic Volvo 240.
This is why I love the podcast because every day I think I got you nailed. and Adrian, we've known each other for 30 years almost. And I think I'm just scraping the surface on you.
My mind is an enigma.
Yeah.
No. So, but I told Drew, I'm like, I wouldn't buy this car just because that's my personal biases.
Yeah.
Like I don't prize like certain makes, models, etc. It's for me. It's
you
just
don't
like,
buy into that.
does this car interest me?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Am I willing to pay that much money for that car? Yes. Okay. I'm buying it.
Yeah.
But you take my twisted car buying views out of the equation and look at it just from a what's this car worth, what's it going for like on the market, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, it's worth it. And I'm like, you got to look at it this way. Are you gonna, if you buy this car, are you gonna want to hold on to it long enough for it to be worthwhile?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to buy the car just for the trip.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're just rushing into it, and it's not worth it. But if you buy this car and you plan on keeping it, you can fix up a little bit, get the brakes fixed, get the carburetor fixed. Maybe if you're feeling ambitious, get the valve seals replaced so it doesn't burn oil. And then, start picking away at some of the body work. And eventually, especially if you do a lot of work yourself, you can sell that car for a mint.
Right.
It is a 4-door hardtop Impala.
Yeah.
A 64 4-door hardtop Impala.
Yeah.
You can sell that thing. You're going to make money.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you want, drive around at T.R.O.G with a for sale sign in the window. You'll probably like get a couple bites, and you might even get what you paid for it out of it, if not more.
Yeah, that's a crazy proposition. I mean, he monitors. If he really is like kind of still on his heels about it, then like
I don't
maybe
think he's on his heels about it now.
Okay.
Now that he's driven it.
Well, a for sale sign with a crazy high price may be interesting at a place like that.
Yeah.
Where like I'm not saying he has to try to sell it for like $10,000. But like if he went out there and was like, look, 5,500, and you get to drive home in it today.
If he wants to put like $1,000 on top of what he paid for it,
Sure.
or $2,000, let someone talk him down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to like throw the thing in the windshield. You know what I mean? If he like I said, put some elbow grease into it, clean it up, made sure
that
she
was one of
good
the
to
things
go.
that made him kind of go like, maybe I do want to buy this car.
Yeah.
But the other thing,
But that's your point. Your point is that like no one's gonna take the value out of an Impala.
Yeah.
A 64 Impala.
Yeah.
Like no one strips that value out. No matter what it is.
the other thing I told him, I was just like, This is a V8 4-door hardtop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at its core, that's what this is. That's what you wanted out of the Cadillac. It's not a
Right.
Cadillac, but it is a V8
Yeah.
4-door hardtop.
Yeah, the guts are there.
Like,
Yeah.
if that's what you want, this is it right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And, not to I not to dive back into the whole, like, oh, you just want to buy a car for T.R.O.G, but, like, this is kind of now or never.
Yeah.
You don't buy this car, you're not going to have enough time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with buying a car just for T.R.O.G. You know, I don't think so, because I think it's like the love of it. It's the love of like wanting to get into it.
Yeah, but
and again, like it's not like you just bought something that you couldn't get rid of. You know, because like it's like, oh, I just
no,
gotta
but
get,
it's still,
I gotta get started.
It's still
Does he-
buying a car. It's a big purchase.
Sure.
To just make
Yeah.
to for a one-time thing, and like, yeah, you'll get that money back, but like it's still a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if he buys the car to keep it, like now it's kind of an investment.
Definitely.
And if he wants to like build it up, he can spread it out over several years to like really ease the cost of it and all that.
yeah.
So, but yeah, he ended up going for it. And while he was having that like moment of, oh, did I make a mistake on the drive back to pick up the car after he had done the title transfer and all that, on the drive back to his place, he pretty much just fell in love with it.
Good.
He was like, there was one point where I looked backwards and I just saw nothing but window, no pillars. He was like, oh, this is it.
Dude, hell yeah. Dude, he bought the right car.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah. He did good. And he's gonna have fun at T.R.O.G.
He bought
It's
the
gonna
best
be an
car he
amazing
could,
time.
in the conditions that, in the parameters that, his constraints. He bought the best car that he could for the constraints that he
Yeah.
had.
And it's still
not
a good car.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like, it's still a great car.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. That's so a great car. That's so a great car. I'm gonna pee.
Mm-hmm.
Pee time. So back in the pee break.
Back
Adrian,
from the pee
we are.
So we're gonna change gears a little bit.
changing gears. A lot of it actually.
A lot of it. We're swinging 180. We talked about cars, and that's compulsory for us at this point. We got to mention something automotive related.
Yeah, we did it, and so now we're gonna transition into.
Actually, there is one more thing that I want to talk about
yeah.
with cars,
Yeah.
because we were kind of hinting at it with problems stacking up with the Buick, and we bought. I went with Drew just yesterday to buy this '64 Impala, and that ended up taking longer than I had anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
And I had kind of an appointment to go to West's shop to handle a couple things with my cars and try to help him out with some of his workload.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to get there around like maybe 1 or 2. Ended up getting there at like 5.
Yeah.
Not a big deal, honestly, because we're on night shift. Wes is like anticipating that I wake up at the ass crack of evening.
Yeah.
But I got there a little later than I wanted to, and the reason I really needed to get there was I got new tires for the Buick, as you saw when I pulled up here. And so it turns out I have been driving with the wrong size tires for the past like 5 years.
Yeah. So how did you figure that out? Does it say it on the inside of the?
Yeah. So when I bought the car, I replaced the tires, and I just replaced them with the size that was on the car already. I didn't look into anything. I'm like, it's got 205 65 R15s. So I'm just going to order, some 205 55 or 65 R15s. Put them on there. It seemed like a reasonable tire size. Like old cars have bigger sidewalls, so I see 65 aspect ratio tires. I'm like, yeah, that's a big tire.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong there.
All right.
And since I bought the car, I mean, currently the speedometer doesn't work, but when it did work,
Mm-hmm.
it always read like 15 miles an hour slow. Or no, fast. 15 miles an hour fast. So if it said I was doing 45, if it said I was doing 60 miles an hour, I was doing 45. But so when I bought these tires, first off, I wanted to get white stripe tires, not white wall. White wall wasn't correct, but these cars came with white stripe tires. So I'm like, looking into like what what brand even makes those anymore.
Right.
But and then I was like, what's maybe I should look up originally it was because I was lazy, honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go outside to go look at the tire size printed on the side of the tire. I just Googled the OEM tire size. And then I saw 225 75 R15 is what was coming. It came back as a different size. I forget the format that they used back then.
Mm-hmm.
But it translated to 225 75 R15. And I'm like, that doesn't sound familiar. So I started looking through the pictures of my car that I have on my phone because, again, I'm too lazy to go outside.
Right.
And I don't have a clear shot of the tires, but I had one that was clear enough to see that was not what was on there.
Yeah.
So I go back and I'm looking through and I'm looking at forums and like everyone's saying like 225, 75 R15 is the tire size to get. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Maybe that was why. And like 225, 75 from 205, 65, that's a big jump in tire size.
Yeah.
Like my car's sitting like 2 inches higher off the ground right now
Yeah.
than it was.
It's crazy, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
The way that it looks and sits right now, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I can cruise comfortably at like 75 miles an hour and the car's not breaking a sweat.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this feels right.
Yeah.
This feels
was
correct.
correct. Yeah. Did the Speedo?
Speedo's still broken.
Okay. All right. So that wasn't all the problem.
I know what the issues are. I have half the parts to fix it.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah.
It's just time and buying $100 piece of fucking plastic gear.
Yeah. Well, speaking of time, let's blow through this because we
Yeah.
do want to clean up your tires before we leave.
That's right. And it's
Yeah.
getting dark.
It's getting dark. Let's do this.
Yeah, so we're shifting gears, going to something completely, different. We're going from old school cars to something completely cutting edge. And we've talked about this on the podcast before, but those brain organoids that they're using as basically a biological alternative to a computer-like processing chip.
Yeah.
So we talked about it before, and there's a company out there that will rent you like processing power. So they have them in their facility because you need very special equipment to keep the little brain things alive.
Mm-hmm.
But they're basically using them to run like calculations. They train them to respond how they want them to respond to input data and run the calculations and then spit out the right answer. And I am grossly simplifying this process, but
Sure.
there was that company that will rent you processing power. So I guess you feed them data and they run it through their organoids that crunch the numbers and then spit out the corresponding data. But what I found recently was that at least one of these companies, when these organoids are in their like idle time, their off time, where they're not being used to process data, they just plug them into a simulation where they fly little virtual butterflies around. And like you can interact with them, sort of, I guess. I mean, I don't think it's like open to the public, but like, it's in a virtual environment. If you have access to that, you can like change the environment, push the butterfly, whatever, shit like that.
Right.
And that kind of brings up some ethical questions here. Like, are these things like it's a brain? Or they take human brain cells and they keep them alive so that they multiply and they make like a little brain mass thing. It's not a human brain. It's made of human brain, but it's not a full human brain. So I don't think you can really make the argument that it's like conscious on the level that we are. Like they're not. They might.
It's just too it's too separated from a human. That,
it doesn't have all
it's not the full brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
So
literally
it's
a
not
mass
like-
of brain cells. It doesn't have all the structures that like a human brain has.
Yeah.
So
But can it feel?
you might be able to argue it is sentient, but not sapient. There's a distinction there.
Yeah.
To be sapient, you need to be like self-aware, self-conscious.
Mm.
Sentient would be like your dog, cat, whatever. A bird, mouse. Something that is alive, does react to stimuli, probably feels basic emotions on some level, but doesn't have that self-awareness. You can argue that maybe elephants and dolphins and killer whales, things like that are sapient.
Yeah.
But like you're not going to argue that a bumblebee is sapient.
Right.
But still, like even things that are sentient feel.
Yeah.
And you got these little brains, these little brain things. They might not have like the conscious ability, self-reflection, the ability to think on the level that we do.
Mm-hmm.
But you plug them into the simulation where like, their inputs, because your brain doesn't physically see, doesn't physically touch, feel, hear, smell, or anything. That's all the nerve endings on your body
That
like
are
telegraph-
inputs to
yeah.
the brain.
that are inputs to the brain. Yeah, exactly. So you plug these little computer brain things into a simulation, It's kind of the same thing. All their inputs are simulated, but their inputs nonetheless. To that organoid, that is real. It's getting an input and experiencing it
Right.
as it
in
is.
the same way that our brain would.
Yes.
Yeah. With the same computing
Like theoretically,
power.
we don't have the technology to do it now, but theoretically, if you could figure out the exact connections, you could plug into a brain and recreate vision and make that brain, make that person think they're seeing something they're not.
Oh, yeah.
So like your brain processes electrical stimuli transmitted from nerves all around the body, specialized nerves for every sense you have. So these little organoids are like, maybe they think they're just butterflies, and when they go to sleep, that's when we're doing the process, and then all this data crunching is just like a dream, or vice versa, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes like we're really playing God here. Is what it
Yeah.
comes down to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we aren't on the level where we can create self-actualized, self-thinking life. But this is something that's definitely, by every scientific metric, alive. And we're fucking with how it's perceiving reality.
Yeah.
We're playing God.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And especially it feels even more weird when we're using the human brain cell. You know, if this was like a computer chip, like as you were kind of alluding to what we've done before, it feels a little bit more disconnected, you know?
Yeah.
But now it's like...
And we don't have any like computer chips that are like conscious, even the most like primitive basic level. A computer chip will do nothing until it is told to do something.
And how much different does this brain cells sample...
Well, they're putting them in the simulation, and the butterfly's just kind of doing whatever.
Yeah,
it
they're
wants.
it's living how you would expect it to.
Well, maybe not a butterfly specifically, but an organic organism.
Yeah. Yeah, learning, reacting,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
And then, if you want to like put on your tinfoil hat here.
Okay.
So, are you familiar with simulation theory? Where
Yeah.
life, reality as we experience it, is just a grand simulation.
Yes.
And I think we talked about this before. We might have touched on it before. But the whole thing where if we ever find ourselves able to simulate reality and beings in that simulated reality, if we are ever able to successfully do that, it takes the chances of our reality being a simulation from basically 0 to basically 100%. Because if we can do it, how do we know we're not in that? How do we know someone else didn't already do it?
Yeah, and the simulation theory itself gives like a mathematical probability that we're already in it, right?
Well, that's what I was
Like-
saying. Like, if we can do it,
Yeah.
how do we know it hasn't been done? If the fact
It's
that we're
already
able to
been
do
done.
it means it's possible, so
So-
we could be in it.
Yeah. So
Could
it's
be.
already happened.
Yeah. If we prove that it's possible, then it's likely already happened.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, considering our timeline.
And this brings us closer to that.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel strange.
Yeah. And then did you see so Neuralink has one of their first patients who's blind that they've added the Neuralink into?
This is a separate person. This isn't the first guy who was
Correct.
Like,
Yeah.
paralyzed and like working computer
Correct.
thing.
And I think they're already up to 7 people. I don't know. The last that I heard, I don't know if this person's the 8th. I have no idea. But I know that there's a patient who is completely blind.
Like not
And-
legally blind, like they
No.
literally see nothing.
Completely blind.
Was it from birth or accident?
I do not know, actually. But I do know that they are planning for them to be able to like completely see
With a camera.
with a camera, and that it would be infrared, it would be ultraviolet, it would be
Christ.
like bro, they're seeing sound. Like
Well, we already have that.
yeah.
It's a. Oh God, what's it called?
I don't
Listen,
I don't see much of sound.
It's a. I don't want to use the word disorder because that's got negative connotations, but like it's a disorder
Yeah.
where like you hear something and it has like a visual effect.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things like where like they say 50% of the population doesn't have an internal monologue, which I think is bullshit.
Yeah.
I think that's bullshit. I
Yeah.
think it's. I mean, I personally haven't met someone who says that they can't think in their own head in words,
Yeah.
but that just seems wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't seem right.
Because I can understand
I think
the
too
concept.
much.
Yeah, I can, because every like post I've seen about that, every article I've seen about that, that's got like comments of people saying like, "Oh, I have that," and there, people ask them like,
you don't
"How do you think in
understand.
your head?" And they're like, "Oh, well, I can understand the concept of it," and it's like, yeah, I can understand the concept of something without thinking word for word what that
Yeah,
concept
it's like,
is in
wait,
English.
Did you write this whole thing out loud?
Were you speaking out loud as you said this?
Yeah. Yeah, because if you weren't, it's an internal monologue.
Yeah,
you thought about it, and then you
I feel
wrote
like
it
people
down
are just.
without saying
I feel like
it.
the people who, and I could be wrong. I will fully admit up front, I could be completely wrong. But I feel like people who say they have no internal monologue just don't understand what it is.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not. It's not like
100%.
It's not a voice in my head literally narrating beyond my automatically beyond my control every single action I'm doing or every thought I have.
Mm-hmm.
It's me thinking things in my head,
Yeah.
but in English because that's the language I speak.
Yeah.
And like these same people, maybe they're just super confident and never need to do this, but like if I want to order food, I'm rehearsing the order in my head.
100%, dude. As a kid, I was always doing that. I was always like, okay, what do we want? What do we want? What are we
Can I
saying?
please have a McChicken and small fries?
Yeah, dude. Like you're in line, looking at the menu, like, okay, I want this, and I'm gonna have that, and then with that, and then they're gonna say this, and that, and you're gonna want what else? And then they're gonna say a large, and then like that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like if you want to
But
call
you're
and
not
order a
saying that out
pizza.
loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
So
what
like,
the
maybe
fuck?
these people are just have like unending confidence and they don't need to do that. I don't know.
Yeah. I will also say I've never been in line anywhere where I've heard someone saying it all out loud.
But yeah, to, like bring up your
Yeah.
point when they're typing shit out, like that's going in my head.
Right.
Yeah, I'm saying that in my head right before I type it out.
Yeah.
How do these people
Yeah. Yeah.
like I can't sit there and just start typing words without thinking them first.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to have that like that first thought of like, and sometimes it takes, for me, a couple seconds to be like, where am I at? Clear the head. And then,
Or you want to get a concept across and you in your head you're just like, how do I word this into a sentence?
Oh yeah, no, 100%, 100,000,000%. Yeah, I think some people are just better and worse at it, and so like maybe people who are like
Yeah,
really
to
bad
varying
at like
degrees, but like I don't.
I would say like not having a monologue is not the same as like having a bad monologue
or
like
just
having a hard time
having
doing
not
it.
many thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe the brain cells are a little slow. Yeah.
To anyone who doesn't have an internal monologue than you, yes, I think I'm better than you.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, but
Yeah. And if you think otherwise, say it out loud, bitch.
If you think otherwise, no, you don't, because you don't have an internal monologue.
Yeah, good luck typing it. Fun. That's fun stuff, dude. It's fun stuff. Internet's going crazy. Dude, I don't know how much longer you want to do this, but it is getting dark outside, and I want to.
Yeah, I've got blue to get off of my.
You got blue to get off. So I think we did okay.
Yeah.
I think we had a lot of struggles today.
We went
This might be-
longer the first one, talking about
Yeah. And
just
dude, that happens.
the
Dude,
road
you
trip.
you and I could sit here and talk forever, and we did talk forever, and we did have issues with the podcast.
Yeah, this might
as
only be an hour and a
always.
half, but like we've
Maybe-
been doing this for 4.
Yeah, maybe even in like an hour. Who knows? I don't know. But we have more to come. There's always more to talk about and more to have fun with.
And next
Well-
time, hopefully, we won't lose 2 hours of footage off the rip.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Ah.
So it's been tough. And, night shift, us getting here, being full-brained, it's been tough, dude. So
It's been real, and it's been fun. Can't say it's been real fun.
it's not been real fun. No, it has been. It's been real
No,
fun.
it has been.
Yeah. So if you made it this far, you know what to do. Like, comment,
If you made it this
subscribe.
far, it was probably easier than last time.
Yeah,
'Cause-
fuck yeah. You made it this far. It's been fun. But yeah, we're just talking. Cool.
Yep. Until next time.
Until next time. Thanks. Bye.